Your Excellency, sir, at this point, allow me to now call on Honorable John Badi, Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury and Economic Planning, to make his remarks and, in turn, invite His Excellency, the President. Why don't we welcome him with a clap? Tumpigie makofi tafadhali. Welcome,
sir. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei RUTO, allow me to ride on the protocol already established. I was supposed to make my comments after this session, but I'm stepping in for the Cabinet Secretary for MITI. MITI is actually Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, Honorable Salim Vuria, who is out of the country. So, Your Excellency, allow me to commence these brief remarks by once more joining all who have spoken to commend the government of Kisumu County and African Bank for co-hosting the 4th series of Africa Sub-Sovereign Network Conference. The Africa Sub-Sovereign Network Conference was launched by the African Export-Import Bank, what is known as African Bank, during an inaugural conference held on the sidelines of the Intra-African Trade Fair in 2021, with the mission of promoting peer learning, cooperation and collaboration among sovereign governments. The invaluable impact of peer learning is well recognized. Varied stakeholders bring with them a wealth of knowledge, skills and resources that can be customized for the good of communities. Development often represents, in among others, the realization or revitalization of areas and of infrastructure. If government officials collaborate with the local business owners and community organizations to pool resources to find initiatives like infrastructure improvement of an area, beautification or greening projects, then each can contribute their specific and unique expertise, be it design, policy making or other expertise, to ensure success of projects. It is an excellent opportunity that this conference is co-hosted by African Bank. This is because in the more recent past, African Bank has shown its commitment to Kenya's development agenda through the 3-year country program aimed at boosting our economic recovery. The 3-year country program seeks to leverage on $3 billion facility to support trade and investments in Kenya's public and private sectors through loans, guarantees, facilities, trade services, investment banking, and advisory services. Also of note and worth emphasizing is the fact that African Bank is further actively involved in deepening and expansion of the banking industry in Kenya by expanding its lines of credit and other product offerings to Kenyan banks to equip them with the muscle to support the local economy. Your Excellency, when we talk economy and development, there is really no urgency in reinventing the wheel when it comes to Africa's development agenda. Agenda 2063 encapsulates not only Africa's aspiration for the future, but also identifies key flagship programs which can boost Africa's economic growth and development and lead to the rapid transformation of the continent. The networking and learning opportunities presented through this conference series poses potential to bring forward practical and unique policy concepts that cannot be underplayed, and it is my anticipation that this opportunity will see the emergence of viable economic initiatives that will see the Kenyan economy grow in line with the bottom-up economic agenda principle, through which the government intends to continue to collaborate with the stakeholders, including the private sector, to realize projected growth. The need for innovative approaches outside the traditionally accepted lines to promote development finds a comfortable home in the choice of theme by African Bank and County Government of Kisumu for this year's 4th edition of the Africa Sub-Sovereign Network Conference, which is leveraging the African Continental Free Trade Area for sustainable trade and investment, a development pathway for Africa sub-sovereign. So trade across the region must thrive, and Afreximbank is one of the better placed institutions to guide this, since she has acquired considerable experience in successfully intervening and supporting its member states facing both short, medium, and long-term socio-economic challenges and crises, and supporting those member countries going through major macroeconomic negative shocks. Kenya was among the first African countries that signed the African Continental Free Trade Area Treaty in Kigali, Rwanda, on March 21, 2018, marking a historic milestone in the economic integration push of the continent. The formation of a free trade area spanning the continent creates a single market of over 1.3 billion people with a combined gross domestic product of more than $3.4 trillion. Your Excellency, the move by Kenya to join the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System initiatives as an enabler for the African Continental Free Trade Area is a major milestone, as it presents the Kenyan firms with the ability to execute all trades and financial transactions seamlessly with other firms in the rest of Africa. Correspondingly, the move by the Afreximbank to establish the adjustment fund is also laudable. The United States dollars of 10 billion fund will support countries, Kenya included, to effectively participate in the African Continental Free Trade Area. As a major shareholder of the bank, Kenya is expected to continue to tap the opportunities offered by the bank through the adjustment fund. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, some research suggests that people with a fixed mindset tend to approach goals more passively. A growth mindset of opportunities and entrepreneurial mindsets. It means not seeing hurdles, but instead seeing how to overcome the hurdles. This conference provides that opportunity, and I hope we will each grasp it. Allow me, Your Excellency, before I invite you to address the conference, to just mention two more things. Your Excellency, I also want to associate with the sentiments of Professor Peter Nyang'yo, the Governor of Kisumu, and also with the President and Chairman of the Board of Afreximbank, Professor Orama, on the issue of the challenge that this country is facing, and not just Kenya, but across the region, that is of unemployment. This is urgent and must be addressed. It is the most critical challenge that we are facing as a nation. And therefore, Your Excellency, in that breath, as we get support from Afreximbank, and I'm happy and delighted that the Afreximbank is ready and willing to support our special economic zones and industrial parks. Your Excellency, allow me to disclose that last week, exactly the same day, it is only the hour which is different, it was at night, that you instructed me, Your Excellency, to make specific provision in the next budget and to support the special economic zone, especially the one in Kisumu, Kibos. I want to guarantee, Your Excellency, that your instructions will be executed. And with this possible support from Afreximbank, I'm even more encouraged that we'll get funding for our special economic zones and industrial parks, not just Kibos alone, but Your Excellency, there are other counties as well, including my own home county of Homa Bay, where we also have the Riwa Industrial Park, or Special Economic Zone. Finally, Your Excellency, allow me to mention something, and I can hear Governor Orengo also shouting, what about Siaya? And by extension, what about Bungoma? Because Lusaka is also here. But finally, Your Excellency, when you graciously offered me this position that I'm occupying today of Cabinet Secretary in charge of National Treasury and Economic Planning, we had a meeting with you and we mutually agreed that we must support devolution. And both of us are actually students of devolution. Remember, we have pushed devolution together even when we were together with you in ODM. Today we are again together in broad-based government. So we agreed that we will make sure that devolution is supported, and supported fully with action, not just by words. Even though we had challenges of how much to give the counties, but that I think has now been settled at 387 billion shillings, which both houses of parliament have agreed on. We have endeavored, Your Excellency, and I don't think I've disappointed you, in making sure that counties receive their funding timeously. I want to just make it clear, Your Excellency, that yes, we crossed over 2023-24 with 1 month arrears to pay and share of revenue to counties, 30.8 billion. And that amount was actually paid on 27th of July 2024. Now for this financial year, Your Excellency, we had a little bit of a challenge because of the legal framework, but again, we both agreed that we get the opinion of the Attorney General, and which we got. I sought the opinion and we got. And immediately I got that opinion. On 24th of September 2024, we made transfer of 32.76 billion to the county governments for the month of July. And then on 17th of October 2024, we transferred 30.8 billion to the counties for the month of August. And then on 14th of November 2024, we made a transfer of 32.7 billion for the month of September. And less than a week later, on 18th, which is Monday of November 2024, we transferred 30.8 billion for the month of October. So, Your Excellency, as far as the national government is concerned, we don't have any arrears to counties, but something needs to be worked on. That is the controller of budget and how that office can facilitate funds to leave the county revenue funds to the county governments. I think that needs to be dealt with urgently, and I'm sure the Deputy President will deal with that. We need to convene a meeting and see how to smoothen that process. Otherwise, Your Excellency, allow me at this juncture and my fellow participants kindly be upstanding as we welcome the President of the Republic of Kenya to come and address the gathering. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Karibu.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you very much. You can take your seats. Asante sana. Allow me to take this opportunity on behalf of the government and people of Kenya to welcome friends and partners who have come from far and wide to attend this very important summit, to join the governor of Kisumu, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, who has warmly welcomed all of you to Kisumu, in welcoming all of you to Kenya. Professor Anyang' Nyong'o is under very strict instructions to take good care of each and every participant. And if for one reason or another he does not, please report him to me. I will figure out what to do with him. But I am privileged to have this opportunity on behalf of the people and government of Kenya to welcome all of you to this famous Lake City, to the 4th African Sovereign Networks Conference. I am grateful to the governor of Kisumu, Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, for the excellent preparation that have gone into hosting this event and the partnership that they have put together with Afri-Exim Bank. And I also want to thank Professor Benedict Orama for making time to join us for this conference. Your presence here, Benedict Orama, is yet another example of the unique approaches that the bank, under your leadership, employs in order to deepen its footprint by engaging with shareholders throughout the continent, including subnational entities like Afri-cities and devolved governments like that of Kisumu. Afri-Exim has consistently demonstrated innovative approaches in advancing credit to African governments and the public sector while facilitating deeper collaboration among sub-Saharan nations. And Kenya is an example. The first decision I made was to invest another $40 million in Afri-Exim Bank, because we see the value in growing African institutions that understand our landscape, our economies better, and they can better support, innovate, and use creative means of supporting our economies. And I want to thank you, Professor, for being a champion of solutions to our continent. I also want to confirm, as the CS for Treasury has said, we have a framework agreement with Afri-Exim Bank of $3 billion, and they have supported many aspects in our economy. They have supported our imports of fuel. They have supported our commodities trade. They have supported many other aspects. And today, we are going to be signing off some of the agreements that we have made in various other areas, including our infrastructure support program on roads, which we are in consultation. We are also going to sign off on matters to do with cotton value chain, and I like what Professor Anyang' Nyong'o said here, that among the three most important crops that this county and the counties in this region are involved in is cotton. You've just heard from Professor Orama that there is a facility that will support the cotton value chain, because the cotton value chain has three important aspects. Number one, it has the production sector that supports many farmers. And we have already worked with Arise, which is a company associated with Afri-Exim, on seed multiplication and support for farmers in the area of seed production, multiplication, and access to farmers. Secondly, we are also working with Afri-Exim on the next value chain, the next step, and that is the ginning, the manufacturing, and shortly they will be investing in Rivertex and some of our textile industries. And thirdly, they will also be supporting our offtake of cotton from farmers at reliable prices that can give predictability to our farmers to continue doing what they are doing in the production sector. So I will not allow you, Professor, to get into your plane until we sign off these things. These are some of the items that we have in consultation, because this spirit of innovation aligns seamlessly with the aspirations of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, creating a dynamic network of ambitious, future-ready institutions and governments. Such collaboration will drive transformative engagements at the grassroots level, enabling Africa to achieve an unparalleled position in the global value chains and make substantial contribution to their bottom-up transformation. By promoting peer-to-peer learning, this forum of Afri-cities strengthens cooperation among sub-sovereign governments and devolution, a tremendous innovation established under our 2010 Constitution, has evolved into an exemplary success story that Kenyans are very proud of, as it has brought services closer to the people, empowered grassroots participation in governance, and safeguarded minority rights and enhanced equity in resource mobilization and allocation. And I want to agree with the CS Treasury that we have made as a government a conscious decision that we will go out of our way to support devolution and to make sure that there is timeless release of resources to the counties. Although there has not been any framework, we decided that we will get an advisory from the Attorney General to allow us to support counties, even as the other formalities and constitutional imperatives are being met. I have also agreed with the leadership of Parliament that Parliament will not go into recess unless they conclude both DORA and CARA. And I think I have it on the authority of both leaders of majority and both speakers that we want to conclude that exercise so that we allow the counties to execute their mandate without unnecessary roadblocks. AfriExim as a Pan-African multilateral institution was envisioned by African leaders as a bold and innovative mechanism to address Africa's unique financing needs. Its initiatives such as the Pandemic Trade Impact Mitigation Facility and the Fund for Export Development in Africa exemplify its commitment to mitigating economic shocks, fostering sustainable industrialization, and radically enhancing intra-African trade. These initiatives underscore AfriExim's pivotal role in driving the continent's economic transformation and achieving a sustainable and inclusive growth trajectory. Again, to underscore the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System that was ably said by the CS for Treasury, that as a country we are champions because we want to remove unnecessary currency challenges. Professor tells us we lose about $5 billion every year on just exchange rate losses because of moving from one currency to another, from one country to another. The Pan-African Payment and Settlement System now gives us an opportunity for all African countries to trade in our local currencies without necessarily having to mind about which currency, which product, from which country is being traded. That gives us the latitude and the framework to build the momentum around the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And President Orama, I want to tell you, we are grateful as leaders in this continent that you are thinking ahead of time and providing solutions to the challenges that come our way. Closer home, Kenya has greatly benefited from AfriExim's support through the Kenya Country Program. And I have said that $3 billion has been allocated to support our nation's key priority over the next 3 years, aligning with our bottom-up economic transformation agenda. This substantial investment will support programs and projects in value chains under our strategic pillars of our economic transformation plan, including agriculture. And again, you know how passionate I am, Professor, with our farmers. We have a $50 million facility for the Agricultural Finance Corporation, which again, we must sign off today. Because my farmers need that $7.5 billion to be able to buy fertilizer, buy other farm inputs at below 8% interest rate. That way, we can better support whether it is our sugarcane farmers or our cotton farmers or maize or tea or coffee. I'm told by my team that all has been agreed upon, and Buddy, please, you better have ink in your pen so that we can sign this off today. Together with our medium and small and micro enterprises, the digital superhighway, the creative economy, and industrialization sectors, as well as securing critical commodities such as petroleum, rice, and fertilizers. Again, as Professor Orama said, and CS Treasury has said, the whole ecosystem of creating jobs around our special economic zones. We have now 7 new special economic zones. 1 in Dongokundu, 1 in Kirinyaga, 1 in Thika, 1 in Eldoret, here in Kisumu, 1 in Busia. All these special economic zones, and of course, the one in Naivasha, where we have agreed with AfriExim, and we will be signing off. They will be providing resources for us to do the infrastructure to support these facilities so that we can again work with them in looking for the investors that will invest in these special economic zones for purposes of creating jobs for our young people, creating value for our products that we are producing, and making sure that we do more exports. And among the crops we are targeting for export going into the future, as opposed to import, is sugar. As I said, this year we were blessed. We produced more sugar than we consume for the first time in many years. And I'm looking forward to carrying out additional reforms in that sector. We've just passed the sugar law that is now going to provide greater space and a better focus on matters policy to support the whole industry in this region, so that instead of spending a lot of our money importing stuff, including sugar, we will instead be looking at mechanisms of export. And the partnership we are putting together with African will help us unlock that potential. Africa continues to face a deep economic crisis caused by a variety of complex challenges, ranging from slowing global trade, rising energy costs, and high food prices. These challenges are further compounded by a public debt burden that has reached concerning levels. Without a doubt, committed and consistent collective action is essential to deepen African integration, enhance our collective economic resilience, and promote greater levels of intra-Africa trade. Equally certain is the fact that going forward, Pan-African transformation will increasingly depend on institutions like African and many others to mobilize resources and create a conducive environment for investment in job creation, poverty reduction, industrialization, and a stronger export performance and accelerated development through intra-Africa trade. Allow me also to confirm to you the sentiments expressed by the Governor of Kisumu on matters to do with the lake ecosystem in terms of transport, in terms of facilities. And I want to confirm to the people of this region that the Kabonyo fish facility here that will provide 7 million fingerlings every year is off to a start to make sure that we restock Lake Victoria and to make it much more viable for our fishermen and women. We are off to a start in the 10 landing sites along Lake Victoria from Busia all the way to Migori. Specifically here in Kisumu, we have agreed with Professor here that we are putting up a landing site in Asat and Ogal. The advert for the same will be out in January, and we're going to spend about 300 million shillings to make sure that those facilities are available, and they will be managed by the county government of Kisumu to make sure that they also add additional facilities to facilitate the whole fishing ecosystem in our region. It is a big shame for us to import fish from Asia in the 21st century, 60 years after independence. That speaks volumes of the things we should not be doing. Secondly, I want to confirm to you again, Professor, as you have talked about the fishing boats and the entire fishing ecosystem with support in training and in making sure that the lake ecosystem has the necessary infrastructure. Again, I am looking forward to your partnership with my ministry responsible for maritime affairs and fisheries. We have an 800 million shilling facility for fish boats and training of your fisher folk. Again, beginning January, if you can have a conversation with CS Joho and his team, we are aligned to make sure that the whole of this Lake Victoria front, from Busia all the way to Migori, benefits from this facility as we improve our food security and ensuring that we import less and export more. And finally, because there have been major accidents, and you've said it ably, in the in Lake Victoria, and we lose a lot of people because of facilities that are not adequate, because of some of the infrastructure that is not proper. We have decided to do Lake Victoria Rescue and Coordination Center here. We are putting 2.7 billion shillings to make sure that any accident in Lake Victoria is attended to in record time, so that we can better support the whole ecosystem there and make sure that this is going forward. Allow me to say one more thing. I think Professor has ably said that this city can also provide a destination for conferencing and other facilities. And we need to leverage on the tourism assets that are available in Kisumu and the whole of this lake region. And therefore, the conference facility that is here in Kisumu, that was an investment of the national government, I want to confirm that we are ready to have a conversation with Kisumu County, and we want to bring our friends AfriExim on board so that through a public-private partnership, we can actually have an investment in the completion of that facility, in the building of the hotel, so that we can have a management program that will make sure that we unlock the potential of that facility where government resources have already been invested in. I know Professor understands very well, because he was our Minister for Planning, what public-private partnership can achieve. And there will be no problems of people saying anybody wants to sell any asset in Kisumu. So I look forward, Professor, to having that engagement so that we can bring in the private sector to work with us to unlock the potential in some of these infrastructure facilities as we go into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to, in a very special way, thank Professor Orama and team, people from Shelter Afrique and team, and my good brother, the Secretary General, for what they are doing. As I confirmed to you, the Ministry of Devolution, which is handled at the office of my Deputy President, and the PS is here. We're going to unlock the issues that you have raised about the Secretariat in Nairobi. And I also want to confirm to you, Kenya's leadership on matters to do with urban poor is on course. Right here in Kisumu, we are doing affordable housing. We have the first 2,500 units under construction. We have another 10,000 units under procurement in Kisumu County, and 50,000 units along the 5 counties in this region. We have a big program on making sure that because the future is urban, we must prepare for it. And we must provide the infrastructure so that our urban areas do not become slums or places of poverty, but becomes active ecosystems of young people to get jobs and for us to move into the future. So our leadership on that front is on course. And when I am called upon to make a report under BICRAP, I will have a good report. You don't have to worry. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for attending this conference. I wish you fruitful deliberations and encourage you to take some time out of your busy schedules to enjoy the delightful attractions of our Lake City. The 4th Sub-Sovereign Network Conference is now opened. Thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless our country, Kenya. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. If I may request Your Excellency for a quick photo, if you remain on stage kindly. And let me invite the Governor Kisumu County, CS Treasury. Let's take our seats, please. The rest of us kindly, let's take our seats. Governor Kisumu, CS Treasury, Professor Orama, SG Jean-Pierre, EVP, Mrs. Kanayo, and Shelter Afrique CEO, if you can join His Excellency on stage. The second photo we are going to take will include all the governors present, including governors from other countries, so we can get ourselves ready. But this is the first photo as we immortalize this day. His Excellency the President. Why don't we welcome him with a warm clap? Karibu sana Mheshimiwa Rais. Welcome to the 4th African Sub-Sovereign Government Network, AFSNet Investment Conference 2024. Your Excellency, with your permission, I'll request that you remain standing as I call Salim Akisali Issa and Bishop Clement Ogutu to lead us in a short word of prayer before we proceed with the rest of the program. Karibuni.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Mwenyezi Mungu tunakuomba ulilinde taifa letu la Kenya, walinde raia wake, dumisha amani ndani yake hata milele. Lakini pia tunakuomba Allah mlinde rais wetu na viongozi wote waliokuwa wanafanya kazi pamoja na yeye, wape uvumilivu na wape hekima ya kufanya kazi na kuwatumikia raia wa nchi ya Kenya kwa usalama. Lakini pia Allah tunakuomba wakati tunapofungua rasmi mkutano huu katika jumba hili, tunakuomba ututangulie kuanzia mwanzo mpaka mwisho, yale ambayo kwamba yatajadiliwa hapa yawe ni yenye kunufaa au kuwanufaisha raia wa nchi yetu ya Kenya. Tumeomba na kuamini. Amen.
We will read a scripture from the Bible, the book of Proverbs chapter 11 verse 14. The Bible says, "For lack of guidance a nation falls, but victory is won through many advices." Let's pray. Heavenly Father, in Jesus' name, we come before you with gratitude for this gathering of leaders. Lord, I take this opportunity to bless our President, Dr. William Ruto, and his family. I take this opportunity to bless the national government, and I also want to pray for our governor in Kisumu, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, together with all the governors present. I also pray for the county governments, oh Lord, that you may bless us, Lord. We want to thank you for the esteemed leaders that have gathered here today as participants in this conference. We pray for your blessings upon them, God. Bless them with wisdom, bless them with clarity, and bless them with purpose. Guide every discussion, Lord, so they may lead to decisions that honor integrity, foster growth, and uplift communities. May this meeting be a testament to collaboration, to innovation, and your divine guidance. We pray all this, believing and trusting in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
With your permission, Your Excellency, I request that we may take our seats. Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, Your Excellency, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, Governor Kisumu County, colleague governors present, Honorable John Badi, Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury and Economic Planning, colleague Cabinet Secretaries, all Principal Secretaries present, Your Excellency, Professor Benedict Orama, President and Chairman of the Board, African Export-Import Bank, Your Excellency, Oluwesi Obidun Makinde, Vice Chairman, Nigerian Governor Forum and Governor of Oyo State, Mr. Jean-Pierre Elong Mbasi, Secretary General, United Cities and Local Government of Africa, development partners, captains of industry, distinguished guests. Your Excellency, sir, with your permission, allow me to now invite the Governor, Kisumu County, Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o to give some welcoming remarks and also make some remarks as he continues. I request that we welcome him with a warm hand clap as he now approaches. Welcome, Your Excellency, Governor.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, the Minister for Finance, my dear friend Mbadi, governors present here today, my friend James Orengo, Governor of Siaya, my friend Ken Lusaka, Governor of Bungoma, my sister Gladys Wanga, Governor of Homa Bay, and the deputy governors represented here this morning by my deputy, Dr. Matthew Owili, senators, members of parliament, members of county assemblies here in present, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored this morning, Your Excellency, to welcome amidst us distinguished Africans who are leading important institutions in our continent. Professor Benedict Orama, President of African Exim Bank, we welcome you, and we thank you very much for supporting this investment conference. As my president said, you are the most important person in the audience today because you carry the purse. Welcome to Kisumu. I'd also like to welcome my dear friend, Jean-Pierre Elong-Basti, who is the Secretary General of the Union of Cities and Local Government of Africa, an organization which has been very, very key in supporting subnational governments in Africa along the lines of Union of Cities and Local Government in the world. We thank Jean-Pierre Elong-Basti for having enabled us some years ago to hold our cities conference here, which attracted 13,000 people globally, and from which we have derived very, very good programs since then to support not only the county government of Kisumu, but the evolution in general in our republic. I do hope, Mr. President, that it will be possible sooner rather than later, as we have discussed with you and Jean-Pierre Elong-Basti, that the regional office of UCLGA in Nairobi will be vibrant to ensure that what UCLGA stands for in promoting subnational governments in Africa is led from Nairobi under the guidance of Your Excellency. This morning, Your Excellency, we are also privileged, really, to have Shelter Afrique, which is an important organization in the area of housing, and we welcome the Chief Executive of Shelter Afrique among us, and we also welcome those who represent other development organizations, national and international, with us this morning. Your Excellency, Kisumu has been a growing county within the framework of the Lake Region Economic Bloc, which puts together 14 counties around the lake with a total population of 14 million people. Now, the lake is an important factor in our life because it's also an important factor in communication between Kenya and East Africa, particularly Kenya and Uganda and Tanzania. You remember, Your Excellency, when the East African community collapsed in 1978, we suffered a big shock when the port in Kisumu collapsed with the East African community. When the port was closed in 1978, and the railway station in Kisumu also came to a standstill, the only thing that survived was the railway workshop in Kisumu, where the equipment endured the test of time until very recently when it was opened. Now, when I became governor and we went to the lake with His Excellency, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and we saw the waste that was lying there, it was decided that the port should be revived. And indeed it was. One of the most interesting things is that we excavated, using Kenya Shipyard Company, as well as Kenya Ports Authority, a lot of vessels which are sunk to the bottom of the lake. One of them was a big ship, which had laid there for over 20 years, but except for the software, all the hardware survived. So when it was brought to shore, Kenya Shipyard Company was capable of reviving it and repairing it to sail on the lake at MV Uhuru 1. This was with the help of the Dutch government, but after the resurrection of MV Uhuru 1, our people learned the science, the technology of making ships so fast that the Dutch said it was time for them to go. And Kenya Shipyard has since then built on their own MV Uhuru 2. The two ships are now sailing between Kisumu and Uganda, transporting goods. And one of the most important investments in this county, whose goods are transported across the lake to Uganda and Mwanza and so on, is a ceramics company here in Miwani, which is very successful and depends entirely on the lake for transporting its goods to neighboring countries, which is an important business for both the ceramic plant as well as ourselves. I'm telling you this story, His Excellency the President and Afreximbank, that communication and infrastructure is extremely important in promoting business trade, not just for subnational governments like ourselves, but also for the East African community as a whole. We have done very well, Your Excellency, to ensure that this continues. But I appeal to you, Your Excellency, that trade on the lake, especially by our small fishermen, should be supported. The Kenya Shipyard Company is doing a very important thing on making fiberglass boats now, which can be sold to fishermen. We in Kisumu County have launched a project for supporting the cooperatives among the fishermen, for improving landing beaches and making the fishermen buy fiberglass boats. Why do I emphasize the importance of fiberglass boats? Because softwood is no longer viable for making boats. It makes it very possible for the tin inside that the fishermen put inside to rust from the bottom. And therefore, when they go to the middle of the lake and they are fishing, water seeps from the bottom as it rains, and we lose a lot of people in the lake. Lake Victoria Commission, an entity of the East African community, estimates that between Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, those who are using softwood for making boats, we lose about 5,700 fishermen in the lake because of the softwood used for making the boats. This is where Kenya Shipyard Company comes very important in making fiberglass boats for our fishermen to save lives, but also to ensure that the fishing industry survives. Your Excellency, I stand here on this special day, really, to welcome all of you to the great county of Kisumu, and specifically to this beautiful city nestled by the shores of Lake Victoria I've been speaking about. We are pleased, Your Excellency, and proud as a county government to host the 4th African Sub-Sovereign Governance Network Conference in collaboration with the African Continental Free Trade Area, African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, and the United Cities and Local Government of Africa. We are happy, Your Excellency, because this important conference has raised the status of our city, coming hereby barely 2 years after we hosted UCLG's 9th summit of Afri-City Summit here in Kisumu. It is a clear indication, Your Excellency, that Kisumu is blazing the trail as a leading destination for international trade and investment conferencing. Your Excellency and delegates, this conference is meant to strengthen the role of Africa's sub-sovereign governments in driving inter-African trade and investment. The conference will provide a perfect platform for sub-sovereign countries, Kenya included, on the future of sustainable trade and investment. The conference theme, leveraging the FCCA for sustainable trade and investment, a development pathway for African sub-sovereigns, captures the intention and objectives of the two-day meeting we have this week. One of the key objectives of the conference is to foster greater collaboration in promoting trade, development, and investment initiatives among African sub-sovereigns aligned with the African Continental Free Trade Area's goals. It is worth noting that Africa's economic renaissance is hinged on unbridling the developmental capacity of local governments and increasing decentralization. Despite the gains made in decentralization in recent decades, African local governments still have low administrative and fiscal capacity to realize the much-needed local economic development. For the 2 days, we will be asking ourselves how we have used our existing networks and collaboration to champion Africa's development to help reduce over-reliance on foreign aid, which often comes with tough conditions. Allow me, Your Excellency, to appreciate Afreximbank for the formation of African Sub-Sovereign Network as a platform to facilitate the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, to promote trade, investment, and industrialization among African sub-sovereign governments. I am convinced that the AFNet, the governments will improve inter-regional trade on the continent and provide platform for public-private sector collaboration, enhance regional integration, and peer learning. As an innovative tool of the Afreximbank, AFNet therefore comes in handy to bridge the gap and allow sub-sovereigns to accelerate and improve the quality of economic growth in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, with these opportunities, African sub-sovereign authorities must prepare to expand intra-African trade, investment, and industrialization to help create jobs. I am laying the emphasis on job creation because the rapid urbanization in our continent has brought a crisis, joblessness, and rise in crime, especially among the youth. We in Kisumu can testify to that. You can see in the newspapers recently that we are being featured as a city where thuggery and criminals are ravaging the lives of people. It's not that bad, but we recognize it exists, and it must be dealt with. I'm confident that with the booming trade and investments, job opportunities and quality of life will improve, and this criminality and joblessness will also go down. To improve our economies and create more job opportunities, we must invest in micro, small, and medium enterprises and integrate them into the African Free Trade Area value chain. But we cannot do all this, Your Excellency, without working together and having close collaboration with our national governments. The Kenyan Constitution says that there are two types of governments in our republic. One national and 47 county governments, separate but interdependent. Both levels of government must invest on the improvement of infrastructure as an enabler for economic growth and robust trade. We need physical infrastructures like rail, the new railroad being built from Mombasa to Kisumu, the standard gauge railway. Your Excellency, is a must. And it has to go to Uganda, as you have promised. Roads, maritime, and energy to spur industrialization. In that regard, the renaissance of the port of Kisumu and admirable growth of the Kenya Shipyard Company before your government and now under your government, Mr. President, we have to invest further in that area to enhance trade and commerce in the Lake region. Your Excellency, this conference will feature an exhibition aimed at boosting local trade and investment opportunities. In Kisumu, we will be looking for investors for high-end projects, which include the completion of a FIFA standard Moi Stadium, which is destined to co-host the Africa Cup of Nations, AFCON, in 2027. We are happy to announce that our national government is resolute in supporting the completion of ultra-modern Kisumu International Conference Center, which is currently 75% complete. This project was started during the Africity Summit, but was not completed due to shortage of funds then. The completion of both the convention center as well as the exhibition center will no doubt give a conducive business environment for private sector investment in a hotel in that area. Mr. President, our guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm wishing you a very happy stay in Kisumu. As my friend Jean-Pierre Longbasi has agreed, him and the President, Professor Rama, are prepared to stay here for a week longer. As a host, I'm prepared to host you. Allow me, therefore, at this moment, to play for you a short documentary showcasing investment portfolios in Kisumu County. Can you put on the documentary, please?
Welcome to Kisumu, where opportunity meets innovation on the shores of Lake Victoria. As one of the Kenya's most dynamic cities, Kisumu is transforming into an investment hub that connects East Africa to the world. Kisumu's breathtaking landscapes, rich cultural heritage, and warm hospitality make it a top destination for travelers. Kisumu's hospitality sector is growing rapidly, offering everything from lakeside resorts to eco-lodges. From lake adventures to cultural heritage sites, there is a wealth of opportunities for investors to elevate Kisumu's tourism potential. Investors in hospitality have a chance to create unforgettable experiences for visitors, capturing a market that is ready to expand. Set to host large gatherings and international summits, the upcoming conference center at Mamboleo ASK grounds will place Kisumu firmly on the map for global events.
It opens an opportunity for an international hotel to be built there. That hotel will provide facilities for conferees and for other tourists and people who come to Kisumu.
Healthcare is a priority for Kisumu, and the new cancer center stands as a testament to this commitment. Investment in health infrastructure offers high-impact opportunities that will make quality healthcare more accessible across the region. In a milestone for healthcare, MedAdditives is bringing a state-of-the-art pharmaceutical plant to Kisumu, aiming to serve the healthcare needs of Kenya and neighboring countries.
MedAdditives, which is a pharmaceutical firm from the US, working together with the Great Lakes University, the private university, a unique initiative where the university and MedAdditives are working together. One, for MedAdditives to establish a pharmaceutical firm. Two, for the university to give it an opportunity for having a faculty of pharmacy where students will be learning as well as working practically in the pharmaceutical factory.
This facility not only creates local jobs, but also underscores Kisumu's potential as a regional healthcare hub.
If you look at our landscape, almost 70% of the medications used in East and Central Africa are imported from other countries. We looked at Kisumu as very well positioned to have this kind of industries. And because of the location of Kisumu, it is next to the lake, and therefore uses water transport. It has an international airport within it. It is the gateway for East and Central Africa. And so anything manufactured here can easily find its way into the rest of the East and Central African countries.
The Kisumu Special Economic Zone is designed to catalyze trade and industry. Offering incentives and infrastructure tailored to business needs, the Special Economic Zone is a gateway for investors ready to tap into East Africa's growing trade landscape. A good example is the Keda Ceramics International Mwani Factory, a $160 million USD plant dealing in ceramic styles and sanitary ware production. Efforts are underway to improve power stability, accessibility, and other infrastructures. By investing in manufacturing, stakeholders can harness the power of Kisumu's skilled workforce and and assess East Africa's expanding market. Kisumu's passion for sports is undeniable, and the proposed international stadium at Moi Stadium will elevate this love of sports. This project opens doors for investors interested in sports infrastructure, youth development, and community engagement.
This FIFA style of FIFA-size stadium requires substantial investments, but also good returns.
The vast waters of Lake Victoria hold tremendous potential for Kisumu's blue economy. From fishing and aquaculture to waterfront recreation, investments in sustainable lakefront development are reshaping the way Kisumu interacts with its greatest natural asset.
Our promenade around Lake Victoria, that provides a tremendous opportunity for leisure and for investment in hotels and other entertainment facilities.
Kisumu's agricultural landscape is a vibrant sector driven by rich soils and innovation. With opportunities in crop production, agri-processing, and modern farming technologies, investors can help meet East Africa's demand for sustainable food production.
Our three main agricultural products, both for the domestic and international market, are rice, cotton, and sugarcane.
Kisumu is becoming a digital powerhouse supported by tech hubs and a generation of innovative minds. The city's ICT sector is ideal for investors looking to nurture startups, expand e-commerce, and create smart solutions for a digital world. As Kisumu grows, so does the need of reliable water infrastructure. Investment in water systems supports agriculture, industry, and households, enhancing the resilience of the entire city to meet future demands. Kisumu is not just a city, it's a vision for Africa's future. With opportunities across tourism, healthcare, green energy, and more, we invite you to be part of our journey. Come invest in Kisumu and help shape a sustainable, prosperous future.
Having seen that X-rated movie, could I not call upon Jean-Pierre Longbasi, Secretary General UCLGA, please to come and address the audience. Jean-Pierre, karibu.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, sir. Your Excellency, the Governor of Kisumu County. Your Excellency, the President and Chairman of the Board of African Export-Import Bank. Your Excellency, the CEO of Shelter Africa Development Bank. Your Excellency, the Chairman of the Forum of the Region of Africa. Your Excellency, the Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum and Governor of Oyo State, leaders of sub-sovereign government of Africa, esteemed development partners and investors, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Excellency, sir, I bring you the greetings of the President of the United Cities and Local Government of Africa, UCLG Africa, the umbrella organization representing the voice of the 17 subnational and local government operating on the continent, Madam Fatoumata Abdel Malik, President of the region of Nouakchott in Mauritania. I'm addressing you as the Secretary General of the UCSD Africa, headquartered in Rabat, Morocco, with regional offices established in Cairo, Egypt for North Africa, Accra, Ghana for West Africa, Libreville, Gabon for Central Africa, Nairobi, Kenya for East Africa, and Pretoria, South Africa for Southern Africa. I am humbled to stand before you at this opening ceremony of the 4th Africa Sovereign Government Network Investment Conference here in Kisumu. I feel like coming back home when I'm in Kisumu. Not only because for any African, home is everywhere in Africa, but also because for any UCLG Africa member, Kisumu has a special flavor, as it is the very first intermediary city to have hosted successfully the Africity Summit in 2022. And you know that the Africity Summit is the most important and world-renowned dialogue platform on local governance organized on the African continent. The successful organization of the Africity Summit in Kisumu has been an eye-opener for many decision makers from the national and local government, but also from the finance, investors, business, and community. It made them understand the huge untapped potential that the African intermediary cities are endowed with that can be mobilized for the economic development and structural transformation of the continent. UCLG Africa submits that intermediary cities should be considered as the backbone of sustainable growth and development of African countries and of the continent as a whole. UCLG Africa further submits that the African intermediary cities are the cornerstone of the Africa continental free trade area and should be given the attention they deserve for them to participate fully in connecting rural and urban economies, thus giving birth to stronger local and national and regional economies. UCLG Africa submit again that the continent's economic integration will be accelerated if enabling conditions were put in place to promote cross-border decentralized cooperation partnership between subnational and local government across Africa, thus transforming the borders inherited from the colonial period from point of rupture to point of suture, in the apt words of His Excellency Alpha Oumar Konaré, former President of Mali and former Chairman of the African Union Commission. UCLG Africa submit also that competition between countries to attract investment increasingly revolves around the attractiveness and smooth running of cities and regions, hence the importance of making devolution work, an option that the government of Kenya is successfully implementing under your leadership. Mr. President, at this juncture of my statement, allow me to commend the African Export-Import Bank for its invaluable support to sub-sovereign government. And this 4th African Sub-Sovereign Government Network Conference is testimony to African Bank's resolve to contribute in building strong developmental subnational and local governments on the continent, working hand in hand with the national government and the other stakeholders. We thank African Bank for having joined the Development Bank of Southern Africa, DBSA, among the sponsors of the Africa Territorial Trade and Investment Agency, ETIA, a special purpose vehicle set up by UCLG Africa to allow African subnational and local government to meet their infrastructure, financing, and capacity building needs. We wish that other development banks from Africa, such as the African Development Bank, Shelter Afrique Development Bank, and other regional development banks, also joined the club of ATIA's sponsors. We are contemplating the entry into operation of ATIA during the first quarter of the year 2026. Excellency, Mr. President, during the Africa Climate Summit, organized under your leadership in September 2023, here in Nairobi, not here, but in Nairobi, you launched the Building Climate Resilience for the Urban Poor, BCROP, an initiative by the UN Secretary General defined during the UN Climate Summit held in 2019, for which the head of state of Kenya was designated as the leader for BCROP implementation in Africa, while the head of state of Brazil was made the leader of BCROP implementation in Latin America. We are expectant of the political support of Your Excellency to mobilize the interests of your peers in Africa, to walk the talk through the effective implementation of BCROP in the 14 countries that volunteered to be among the BCROP pilot countries. BCROP implementation is coordinated in Africa by a coordinating team located at the UCLD Africa Regional Office in Nairobi, for which we humbly seek for your assistance and blessing to expedite the signing of the headquarter agreement and the release of seed financial support to kickstart its operation. And I'm happy that you promise that this will be done very soon under your scrutiny. Thank you. Despite the mixed result we got during climate negotiation held at COP29 in Baku, one can't help but be concerned by the minuscule share of Africa on carbon emission compared to the heavy price our continent is paying as a result of the impact on our cities and territories of extreme weather events translating into drought, floods, landslides, coastal erosion, and so on, costing lives and assets to our cities and territories. The African position defined under your leadership during the African Climate Summit inspired the Africa Group of Negotiators to articulate a strong position under the leadership of the Kenya Special Envoy for Climate, also the chair of the African Group of Negotiators. I congratulate you for that. Mr. President, we are confident that through your inspired and visionary leadership, Africa will make serious progress towards the improvement of the living condition of the African people, particularly those living in poor neighborhoods of our city, and they constitute 60% of our cities, and particularly the youth that are yearning for opportunities, hope, and a dignified life. Let's work together to get Africa Agenda 2063 of the Africa we want come real and not just staying as unreachable goal. I thank you for your attention.
Next, Your Excellency, it's my pleasure to now invite the President and Chairperson of the Board of Directors, Afrexim Bank, His Excellency Professor Benedict Orama, to give his remarks. Why don't we clap for him as he's coming? Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony. His Excellency and dear brother and strong supporter of our bank, Dr. William RUTO, President of the Republic of Kenya. His Excellency's honorable ministers gathered here this morning, His Excellency Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, Governor of Kisumu County, our very dear host and partner in the work we are doing with sub-sovereigns. Excellencies, representatives of sub-sovereigns who are here with us attending this conference, Excellency, dear brother, the President of Sheta Afrique, Mr. Habib, Excellency, the Secretary General of AFCFTA Secretariat, represented today by Mr. Uzomba, Ms. Kanayo Awani, Executive Vice President of African Bank, who is the arrowhead championing the AFSNet at African Bank. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor that I join in congratulating the government and people of Kenya, especially the government of Kisumu County, for organizing the 4th African Sub-Sovereign Governments Network Investment Conference, convened in this beautiful city of Kisumu, a true gem of our beloved continent. As we gather in this scenic city, it will be remiss of me not to express our deepest gratitude to His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, for his magnanimity in welcoming us here today. Thank you, Your Excellency. Your presence here is not merely ceremonial. It stands as a resounding endorsement of our collective endeavor and a testament to the commitment of your government to this initiative, a pivotal instrument for reigniting African sub-sovereigns as engines for socio-economic transformation of the continent. Special thanks to our gracious and indefatigable host, who we just listened to and saw his vibrancy, His Excellency Professor Peter Nyong'o, Governor of Kisumu County. Your warm hospitality and your leadership in the organization of this conference have set the stage for an enduring future for our collective endeavor to elevate sub-sovereigns in the institutional architecture for Africa's development and regional integration. The African Sub-Sovereign Government Network initiative thrives due to the concerted efforts and unwavering commitment of partners who recognize the tremendous potential of sub-sovereign governments as the engines for broad-based economic development that extends to the grassroots of our societies. We are profoundly grateful to our dear brother, Mr. Jean-Pierre Elongumbasi, and the dedicated team at the United Cities and local governments of Africa for supporting this event and for the great work they are doing in promoting African sub-sovereigns. We thank you very much, Mr. Mbasi. We are also eternally grateful to His Excellency, the Chairman of Nigeria's Governors Forum, for attending this event and also for the support in mobilizing many governors and their representatives from Nigeria. And special thanks also to Mr. Wankele Mene, Secretary General of the AFCFTA Secretariat, and of course, again, our distinguished hosts, the people and government of Kisumu County, because their invaluable contributions form the backbone of the initiative we are pursuing. Additionally, our heartfelt appreciation extends to the esteemed governors, premiers, mayors, and their officials joining us, not just from Kenya, but also from all corners of Africa. Your presence invigorates the discourse and reinforces the critical role of sub-sovereigns in both national and regional development agenda. At our Afrexim Bank, we strongly believe that for developmental initiatives to succeed in our economies, they must of necessity be decentralized. Development needs must originate and flow from the periphery towards the center. When we empower sub-sovereigns with the financial resources they rightfully deserve, we enable them to create unparalleled economic opportunities that resonate with the unique character of their local communities. This fosters not only inclusive growth, but also resilient and sustainable development that caters to the diverse needs of our peoples. It is in recognition of the foregoing that our Afrexim Bank inaugurated the African Sub-Sovereign Government Network in 2021, designed to advocate for the decentralization of national and even continental economic policies and programs, and empowering the governments of sub-sovereigns to assert their critical role in shaping both national and sub-national policies. By leveraging the requisite financial resources and fostering partnerships, we aim to catalyze local community development and enhance coordination and collaboration among sub-sovereigns. This in turn could optimize economic, trade and investment opportunities across our cities and regions. Through this effort, we are aiming to create a situation where cross-country collaboration need not be solely driven at national levels. This is consistent with the ultimate goal of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, whereby national borders in terms of trade and investment will soon disappear. For instance, there's no reason why adjacent sub-sovereigns in two neighboring countries cannot leverage the efficiency gains of collaborating rather than looking further afield in their own countries. In alignment with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, we are passionately implementing the AFSNet initiative to promote interregional trade and investment. Today's event team, titled Leveraging the AFCFTA for Sustainable Trade and Investment, a Development Pathway for African Sub-Sovereigns, is a carry-on call for action. With physical borders dissolving, adjacent states, provinces, prefectures, counties, and governorates stand poised to harness efficiencies that transcend the limitations of international divides. With the removal of trade barriers, producers in one state may discover their best markets lie just across the border, rather than hundreds of kilometers away in their own country. Nature, in its wisdom, has distributed resources devoid of political boundaries, making sub-sovereigns the pivotal players in leveraging the AFCFTA to forge cross-border industrial clusters anchored on minerals and raw materials that know no borders. Animals need no visas to roam across borders, and it is adjacent sub-sovereigns that can leverage this reality to launch a coordinated tourist investment programs based on eco or nature tourism of the type the Kisumu County appear now to be doing. We collectively recognize that cities, states, and provinces within a nation exhibit remarkable diversity, differing in population sizes, resource endowments, skill sets, and sectorial specializations. These distinctions render one-size-fits-all economic policies promulgated from the center inadequate in achieving equitable and transformative economic outcomes for all communities. A paradigm shift in our approach is not just necessary, it is imperative. As Africa embarks on its ambitious development strategy under Agenda 2063, we must advocate for models that promote balanced growth and development, not only within sectors, but also across regional and sub-regional landscapes. National policies and strategies must acknowledge and capitalize on the unique comparative advantages that sub-sovereigns possess. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm elated to inform you that we have successfully convened 3 AFSNet conferences thus far. Over these transformative years, we have forged strategic alliances, such as our partnership with the United Cities and local government of Africa. And we must thank our brother, Mr. Bassi, for making this possible. This has propelled AFSNet membership to span the entire continent. We have conducted a series of information sharing and sensitization workshops, the most recent of which was yesterday's capacity building workshop with sub-sovereign and national investment promotion agencies, facilitated by another one of our partners, the Center for International Trade, Miami, and Financial Times. And we thank them for supporting